Hey guys, I'm Jonas. Today we're going to talk about all the common problems that these Raptor SDs had. If you currently own a Raptor SD or if you're looking at buying a used one, these are some of the common problems that these machines had and you need to look at to see if it currently has an issue or if it's already been updated. The first thing that you need to look at is the serial number to try to determine when the machine was built. On these, the serial number is located on a tag on the left-hand frame rail just above the deck. Now the first two digits of that serial number are going to be the year that it was built, and the second two digits are the month that it was built on. This particular machine was built the third month of 2019. Now most of these common problems happened in the earlier years when the Raptor SDs first came out. So by late 2017, early 2018, Hustler had pretty well figured out what all the issues were, and all the machines that they produced after that came with the updates already performed on them. Now one of the biggest problems that these machines had to do with how the hydrostats were mounted to the frame. So the first thing that you want to take a look at is this transmission cross brace. This is the original design cross brace, and it's really easy to tell the difference between the two. The original ones are black, the new ones are yellow. So what happened to these original ones were the brackets on the sides, right at the bottom of the hydrostat, these tabs would crack and break off. As you can see, this one had completely broken off. So what happened, once that bracket broke, it would let the bottom of the hydrostats move out away from each other. So standing at the back of the machine, you could visibly see the tires not being straight up and down. They would have a bunch of camber to them. Well, once the bottom moved out, that let the top come in towards each other, and that would allow the drive belt to loosen and pop up off of the pulleys, so you would stop immediately. The new updated bracket that they came out with is made out of a thicker gauge steel and has extra reinforcement where it bolts to the hydrostat. Now, if the bottom transmission cross brace broke and your tires did camber in, it would also bend this side bracket. This is the side mounting bracket that's right inside of where your wheel's at on your machine. So this bracket would bend. And if you just replace that bottom cross bracket, then these would end up breaking eventually too, because that metal was now weakened. Now the second issue with the mounting brackets on the hydrostat is going to be the front and rear mount brackets that each just have one bolt that goes through the bracket and into the hydrostat itself. Now these had a couple of different problems. One of them would be this bracket would just crack and break off. They also had an issue with the bolts going through there would loosen up or break off completely. And same thing, once that bracket broke or the bolt broke, it would allow that hydrostat to move too much and the belt would pop off the pulleys. Now Hustler did come out with an updated bracket kit that would come with the front, rear, and side brackets for both hydrostats, as well as new hardware to install them, and the brackets were made out of a thicker gauge steel. I'll leave links for all these update kits in the description down below. Now one issue that was caused by that belt popping off the pulleys is it would get up into the fan blades. There's a fan on top of each hydrostat that blows air down across the hydrostat to help cool them down during operation. Once that belt got up into the fans, it would warp those fan blades, and then if you tried to reinstall the belt and it just popped right back off again, chances are you've got a damaged fan and you need to just replace both fan blades. Even though you may not visually be able to see an issue with the fan, if the belt damaged it or if the fan got pushed out into the frame and the frame damaged the blades, you need to just replace those fan blades. Now most of these issues with the mounting brackets were caused by frame flexing issues. So the way that this frame was built, it could move and twist quite a bit while you were mowing, and over time all that twisting would end up cracking those brackets. That's why on the new Raptor XDs, Hustler went to the tube style frame to help eliminate any frame flexing issues. Another common issue that these SDs had was paint adhesion problems. So the way that these parts were hanging as they were going through Hustler's powder coat line, the bottom of the part just wasn't getting clean good enough. It had too much residue on it, so when it got powder coated, the powder coat just didn't stick as well as it should have. The most common area that the paint was flaking off of was the left side of the deck, the top of the deck, and the front of the frame. Now, since then, Hustler has invested several $1 million into a new powder coat setup. So all the new machines that they're making now have an excellent powder coat quality that they've had no issues with. Now, if your machine has problems with the powder coat, just go talk to your local dealer. Hustler does have a couple of different options they're willing to work with you on to try to remedy this issue. One of the other common problems that we saw on the Raptor SDs was the discharge opening. The earlier models had a bar that went across the bottom of the discharge opening, and depending on what type of grass you were mowing and how often you mowed your grass, you could see discharge problems where the clippings just weren't getting blown out of the deck properly. To fix this issue, Hustler came out with an open deck update kit. So what happened was you basically cut that bar out of the opening, and then they added an extra plate that went across the front and top of the deck to try to beef that corner back up. So if you took a direct hit on that corner, it didn't just shove the front of the deck back up into your blades. So there is a kit available to update your deck design to the new open deck. So I'll leave a link for that kit in the description down below. An easy thing that you could do to help improve the discharge quality on your Raptor SD is to install either a set of gator blades or high lift blades. By going to a blade with more lift to it, you're going to increase the velocity underneath your deck, which is going to help throw those clippings out farther away from the machine. The later model Raptor SDs just came from the factory with that new open deck design. Another issue to look for is on your front frame cross member. So this cross brace that goes from one side of the machine to the other and bolts on to the rest of your frame, if the frame flexed enough, it could cause cracks in that front cross member. This was fixed by just replacing it with the new style cross member. Another thing you want to take a look at is your battery mounting tray. So the actual tray that your battery is sitting in underneath the seat, the front brackets on that tray could crack and break off, so your battery would drop down. The easiest way to check that is to just grab your battery and try to move it up and down. If it has a bunch of movement in there, then chances are your brackets are broke. So the new updated battery mount tray is just made out of a thicker gauge steel. Another common problem that we saw on these machines was the steering dampener. Now this is a little shock that's located at the bottom of your steering arms. So this is what helps give it their smooth track steering. Now what would happen with these dampeners is they would get really stiff, or they would just seize up completely, and then it was really hard to move your lever, or eventually it would just break this plastic piece off the end, and then your lever would be really loose and floppy. They have came out with several revisions to these dampeners, so the new style ones we haven't had any issues with. Another thing you need to be on the lookout for on these SDs is a leaking hydrostat. So if you look down towards the bottom on the inside of the hydrostat, you'll see an arm coming back that runs your parking brake. So when your levers are going in and out, it'll be twisting a cam in there that is engaging and disengaging your parking brake. Now where that shaft goes into the side of the hydrostat, they would start leaking around that shaft. Now this wasn't a Hustler problem, this was a Hydrogear problem, and Hydrogear came out with a seal kit that would go right around that shaft and seal that problem up. Now I think overall the Raptor SD was a great machine, and a lot of the bad reviews that you see out there on them are all pertaining to those same common issues that they had. Now once Hustler realized that there were issues, I feel like they went above and beyond to fix those problems and update the new machines that were being produced so that they wouldn't have those problems in the future. Considering how many millions of these Raptor SDs were produced over the years, I think Hustler really did a good job in taking care of those machines that had issues. But a lot of it came down to your local dealer and how willing they were to take care of you and your machine. Fact of the matter is, there's some really good dealers out there and there's some really bad ones. So if you're looking at buying a used Raptor SD that hasn't had these updates performed, just know that that's a cost that you're going to have in updating that machine. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. If you got some good value out of this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.